Perfect.
We're looking at 3.2, which is going to be congruent angle relationships. So in the last lesson, we learned specifically which ones were going to be congruent to each other. So those were vertical angles, those were same side, or not same side. Those were alternate exterior, alternate interior angles. Those are all going to be congruent to each other. So now we're going to actually put that into play and work problems that are going to help us figure that out, okay? So here we go. So right now, first we're going to look at some simple definitions on exactly what we mean by congruence. So what does congruent mean? Congruent means equal or same measure. So congruent means they're equal to each other. They're the same, okay? What does the symbol use? So basically, whenever you see the symbol for congruency, it's an equal sign with a little squiggly line above it. So this is what the congruent sign means. So that's what it looks like. So like if I have A is congruent to B, that's what the congruent symbol means. So it means technically equal, but means the same measure, okay? So write congruent statements for the parallel lines shown to the right. Wow, we have stuff from the last lesson on here. Okay, I'm erasing that. Okay, so right here we have the measure, or it says M is parallel to N over here, and we have the transversal going through it. So right now, I know vertical angles are congruent, so that means that B and D are going to be congruent to each other. So B is going to be congruent to D, okay? I know alternate exterior angles are congruent, so A and G, alternate exterior, are going to be congruent, so A is congruent to G. Okay, and then one more example, alternate interior angles are congruent. So D and F are alternate interior angles, so D is congruent to F. So basically, if they're equal, they're going to be congruent to each other, okay? So with that being said, let's go ahead and look at examples that are going to help me solve problems to deal with congruency. Okay. So on example number 1, it says, what is the value of A? Well, one thing we can look at is A, and we can go ahead and determine stuff that is going to be equal to it. There's different ways and different routes that we can do it. But I'm going to go ahead and look at it this way, okay? So angle A is in the top left-hand corner, and this angle right here is in the top left-hand corner. So those are going to be congruent to each other, okay? Because they're corresponding angles, okay? So right now, angle 102 and this angle right here are going to be a linear pair, which means they're supplementary. They add up to 180. So that means this angle and 102 are going to add up to 180. So to find this angle right here, I can do 180 minus 102, which is going to give me 78 degrees. So that means since this angle is 78 degrees, angle A and this angle are both in the top left-hand corner, so they're going to be corresponding to each other. Corresponding angles are congruent, so that means angle A is equal to 78 degrees as well because they're corresponding angles. So right there, ladies and gentlemen, that gives you the value of A because those are congruent to each other, okay? All right, so look at example number 2. So on example number 2, it wants us to find the value of X here, okay? So on number 2, we have 3X plus 8 is this angle, and we have this angle is 125 degrees. This angle right here is in the bottom left-hand corner of this angle, and then this angle right here is in the bottom left-hand corner. So it looks like the two angles given are corresponding to each other. Corresponding angles from our last lesson are congruent to each other. So that means 3x plus 8 is going to be the same as 125 degrees. So now all I have to do is solve for x. So I'm going to subtract 8. So 3x is going to be equal to 125 minus 8 is going to be 117. Okay? And then I'm going to divide by 3 on those sides. So if I divide 3 into 117, I would get 3, which gives me 9, gives me 27. 3 will go into 27, it looks like 9 times. So ladies and gentlemen, your answer is going to be 39. So x is equal to 39. Okay, and then I could actually go back and plug it in and solve to see if it matched. So 39 times 3 is going to give me 117 plus 8 is going to give me 125. Boom. Okay. All right, so let's go and look at the next one. So on example number 3, it says here, we need to find the value of x again here, okay? So the two angles given right now, it looks like this angle right here and this angle right here, those are on alternate sides of my line, and they're going to be exterior. So I know alternate exterior angles are congruent because of our last lesson. So that means these are going to be equal to each other. So 2 parentheses x plus 6 is going to be equal to 72. So I'm going to distribute the 2. So I got 2x plus 12 is equal to 72. I want to subtract 12 on both sides. So I get 2x equals 60. Then I'm going to divide by 2 on both sides. So 60 divided by 2 is going to be 30. So in this instance, x is going to be equal to 30 degrees. Boom, got it. Because these two angles are alternate exterior angles, that means they're going to be congruent. So I can set those two equal to each other and solve for x, okay? All right, so you guys, good luck on your skill check, and I'll see you soon.
Perfect.